To me, bodybuilding is a net good. Of course, there's costs, right? But the costs are such that I don't really see them as costs, And this is just a weird phase. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I think today we're 3 weeks post-show, and I have been MIA as fuck, and I'm very aware of that. But trust, it's been for my best interests and my inability to effectively record myself, communicate my situation, feelings. I've been grounding, trying. I haven't quite done that, but I miss you guys. And I'm also aware that the goal here was to share this experience, and so many of you have been kind enough to tune in and enjoy my content during Caca Mierda and cheer for me, and you were all integral in what momentum and wind I had under my sails during prep. And so to just kind of not stay in the loop, not update you guys, just doesn't feel right. It's actually been weighing on me a little bit on top of everything else. So this is a overdue post-show update, though I will say it will focus on more my personal life and mental health versus a show recap or anything like that, just because that's really what's more important right now. The show recap can happen. I have pictures and we'll make it so, but I do think the post-show personal life stuff is a little bit more relevant and instructive, we'll just say. So first order of business, I'm sure those of you who are following along have heard of the expression the post-show blues. And normally that's associated with being done with this epic thing. Now what do you do? What is your identity, et cetera, et cetera. You're just in limbo because you're not training towards anything. You're not dieting towards anything. Whatever structure you had is not there, or at least not reinforced by your goals. I'll tell you right now, that's not exactly my situation. I always have a goal, I'm always going towards something. I have a show for next year I'm really excited to do. I have a freaking amazing coach, and with the judges' feedback, I definitely have some training goals, and the buy-in to change my training style and focus on building my weak points. So the post-show blues really is not what is happening here. At least I don't think so. Not in the typical, how it's described. But let me tell you about my mother effing life, y'all. So y'all know how I've been suffering from chronic stress because of my working from home job and prep brain and feeling ineffective and getting not in trouble, but not doing a very good job and worrying about my job, right? Well, let's refer to a calendar here. So the show was Saturday, and on Friday I had a work meeting, right? And I was let go. So the day before the show, I was let go from my job because of my performance, which was, kind of a fear of mine and something that I tried my absolute best to attend to. But when your brain cells are what they are and you have all these other priorities, prep related, unfortunately, and relationship related, just everything hanging on by a thread, right? Even if I didn't have the tasks to do, I just simply didn't have the brain power to, and my personality type and my learning style and everything, to attend to that level of detail when it comes to this job, remote work, and juggling the requirements of the job, let's just say, plus the technical stuff and all the different time zones and the documentation and the workflows and generating and reviewing documents thereafter and the whole bunch of stuff. So the point is, putting it all together, I simply, couldn't be proficient enough for the job, so they let me go. So that's one thing. So a big fear looming was realized that actually has, impact on my financial reality. You know what I mean? Also, prep is expensive. The shows were expensive. I was traveling. Everything became more expensive. Fuck Frontier. Everything is just a money grab. So it's just kind of knowing that I'm in a financially insecure place and then having to spend more money That's not my style. I don't operate like that. So that's been a bit stressful. And yeah, being unemployed, that old thing. So I'm definitely trying to rein it in. Fortunately, I have savings and I have other things. Like, I'm now back at the hospital, but only like PRN. And even then, there's a lot to be said about that, because working from home, I don't know, how should I get into this? One of the things for me is routine. Periodization, routine, plans. I can plan a future if I have a plan. Things will always come up. But having that structure, having that plan, that semi-predictability for every day. Also, I'm a morning person, and I like to get up and win the day, as it were. Take care of myself first before jumping into anything else. Because I feel like psychologically, if you put other things before yourself, it becomes a thing, you know? So when I was working from home, I didn't start my day at work until 11 a.m., which means I could get up, I could sleep in, so I got my recovery. I could do my cardio, which was also like a moving meditation for me. I could fucking lift. I could eat a healthy meal, start the day off on track for my goals, and then sit the fuck down and work, you know, albeit stressful. But I was able to start the day and take care of my stuff. So had this not happened, I would have come home from the travels and I would have done just that. Whatever the new macros are, whatever the new protocol is, I could have started it and had the assurance that in the morning I would be, you know, putting money in the bank towards that, right? Well, now, came back from travel without that routine, without that foundation. So I knew what my macros were, but I have all these other things I have to sort out, as far as fucking property taxes to pay, moving money around, and what am I going to do for money, and all this stuff. So it was really disorienting there. And then getting back to the hospital is an option, but that means my days would start at 8 a.m., 8:30, that sort of thing. So cutting hours and hours out of my day. On paper, it would mean I'd have to reset my sleep schedule, which means getting to bed at a specific time so I can get up earlier, maybe 5 a.m. to do some of my morning stuff. That takes work. And so I just haven't been able to get right with that. So I'm, prioritizing sleep, but getting up later, which means I have to get up, roll out of bed, and basically drink some water and go to work, and then the rest of the day just gets ahead of you, and my energy levels are not the same after 3 p.m. So training has not been a joy. I'm working on it. But the other thing is I've been working at different campuses now on different sides of town. So I don't have access to my gym there, so I can't even go after work. I'm stuck in traffic. So it just feels like there is no predictability to me getting my training sessions in. There's no predictability to me getting my moving meditations in. There is no predictability to me putting in a coin towards my mental health in every day at all. It's just been demands and dysregulation and being in situations that I'd rather not be in, like stuck in traffic for 2 hours a day. So I have been very sensitive, very, very sensitive emotionally, just like I hate everything, highs and lows, everybody. And I can't organize my thoughts for the most part. This is the most organized and linear I've been. And boy, let me tell you, it's required some practice. I apologize to Boo Thing for my externalized internal conflict that I project. But yeah, so that's been fucking rough. Really, really fucking hate it. Really would love to wake up looking forward to the day, because I know that there's 3 things that'll get done that will reassure me that life is okay, manageable, predictable. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. Of course, there's more in between there, but it's not as relevant. So there's that. Step 1, lost my job. Step 2, no routine. But I have another job. I'm back with my work family, my old work family, and that's nice. But in the capacity that I'm back, it's still a lot of a lot of stuff. I'm just stressed. I exist in a state of anxiety, everybody. So that's not fun. I really hate the tension in my chest. I hate the tension when I leave my house because I haven't grounded in any way. Oh God. And then now that, the thing about when you're done with prep is that everybody assumes that you're available and okay. And so, just people reaching out, and then the holidays. Yeah. So there's that. Oh yeah. So, trigger warning, eating disorders. Or at this point, just to be clear, as a mental health professional, you can't diagnose an eating disorder unless you have duration, symptoms and duration. So typically that's a few months, right? We're not there yet, unless you count bodybuilding prep as an eating disorder, which some lay people do, which I take issue with. But that's neither here nor there. So post-show, I have been having a hard time. I've been binging at night. Not every single night, but I have been binging. And it's that fucking American Dream nut butter. And or rice cakes and almond milk, just cereal, nut butters, that kind of thing. But it's fucking nuts, man. And, fortunately, I'm a mental health professional. I'm a new pro bodybuilder, but I've done this, I consume a lot of content about, I'm not depressed about that. I know there's ways of getting a handle on it that depend on my personal behaviors and my triggers. So I'm just trying to feel that out. So the anxiety is the driving force. I'll tell you that much right now. The fact that I have to meal prep at night, that I haven't gotten settled, that shit's not done, means I'm rushing in the kitchen at night, trying to piece things together, and that makes me snackish. And then once it starts, it doesn't stop, right? So even though I have a plan, even though I have a PM snack carved out, all the habits that I've had in place, it's the anxiety that drives the compulsive behavior. Add to that I had a post-show plan. Gosh, I wish I could talk about that, but I feel like I'm bouncing back and forth. Oh, let's see. Okay. So my original plan for post-show that I ran by coach that I was excited about was my next show is in June. My thought was, I don't want to deal with a tedious reverse diet. Especially if I'm trying to make some improvements before June with my physique. So I was like, I'm okay with putting on weight quickly to quickly get up to a productive body weight, for building these. Please don't run me over. I'm literally, okay, thank you. Right, so I was like, let me just put on some weight and then I can build, So that was kind of the plan. So there's a piece of my mind that's totally okay with rapid weight gain, rationally so, or whatever, what I would consider to be rationally so. So when I do start binging, I'm just like, well, you got to put on weight anyway. This ain't enough carbs anyway. You're in this weird reverse place. Blah, blah, blah. So it's like I'm reinforcing the really fucked up behavior that I'm not even able to track, at night, because I have that seed in my head, right? That planted that seed. So I got to clean that all up, because an ideal situation for me would have been structure during the week. I fucking love structure. It's just nice. I look forward to all my meals, I look forward to my breakfast. I look forward to my meals. I look forward to it. And I love being organized and prepared for that. That's one less thing I have to think about. I don't know how people live not knowing what they're fucking going to eat every day. Just winging it. The fuck? I don't know, man. I really love knowing that no matter what, I'm going to get my food in. I'm going to feel good. It's great. So in an ideal situation, I would have a meal situation, macros and stuff, meals that prepared and planned for. And then if I wanted to deviate, I could. That would have been my ideal post-show situation. Have all my meals, but then if there's a freaking Indian food at work, I could be like, oh yeah, let me definitely get some of that curry, and then just skip one of my meals, knowing full well that the Indian food would have been heavier calorically, whatever, but I would have just enjoyed it because I'm in a position to eat whatever the hell I want. But half the time I prefer to eat my food, but that would have been my preference, but I'm not there because I'm too anxious and I'm fucking binging at night. So, I guess my saving grace is that I don't eat out. I don't pay for food prepared by other people. as a matter of just like a lifestyle habit, and just the food isn't enticing. So I'm only 5 pounds up in my body from stage weight, and my body composition's looking pretty damn good. My legs are holding, everything's looking good. So if I gave a shit about my physique right now, over my mental health, I would be celebrating that. But instead I figured this is good for you guys, for the gram or the YouTubes, because I am so not well right now, but my physique looks good. Yay. So in any case, there's that. So 5 pounds up from stage weight, binging at night, but tracking the behavior. So I have like a little sheet where I'm like, you know, adherent minus snacking, adherent minus a cookie at work, adherent or non-adherent had a binge, full on binge, couldn't track it, you know. So I've been tracking it and then trying to create some structure, and try to rein it in, see what's the longest streak I can go without, you know, doing that. So far it's been like 2 days, consecutive days, and then here we go. I do have some strategies that I've deployed to help that seem to be helping, but I don't even know that I want to talk about that right now. Actually, fuck it, why not? So it's funny, I had Googled before the show, like what are the most binged upon foods, and it's cereal and peanut butter. Calorie dense and delicious. So a couple of things is the fucking gourmet nut butters that I stocked up on, that's a problem. What'd it do, turkey? I didn't know turkeys could fly. That is a flying turkey, because it like went over me. Anyway, so what I've done now is I know that I only lose control at night, and it's anxiety and all these other things. So I've moved the nut butters to earlier in the day. So I'll have like sweet potato with gourmet nut butter in the morning, and then another meal where it's like veggie, nut butter, sweet potato, and roast beef or beef or something. So I get that twice a day now, earlier, while I have control, measured, everything else accounted for. And then at night, I make it a point to have something that isn't that. So whether it's savory, like an omelet, or just I don't need to be eating anything sweet at night and triggering that whole cascade, right? So that's something I've been working on that's been helpful. Honestly, if I could actually meal prep days in advance, I would be fine, because I wouldn't be in the kitchen every night messing around with nut butter. I could just have all my meals prepared for days in advance. But unfortunately, I haven't had enough routine to get to a place where I can meal prep for days in advance like I used to. So it's like Russian roulette every single night, and rushed, especially because I'm not spending the night at home every single night. I've been all over the place, or I get home late because of different commutes. It's rough, y'all. It's rough. The other thing is, if I do want something like that, I've been making this protein frosting, which is essentially like a Greek yogurt with a blend, like a casein whey blend protein powder. Mix it together, put it in the fridge, and it's like frosting, y'all. So I'll have that with like a rice cake crumbled up over it and a cup of decaf. That's been delicious. And the spread of it, like the fact that it's like spreadable, like frosting, but like nut butter, kind of fulfills that like thick, creamy satisfyingness of nut butter. Granted, it's not nut butter, but it does help. And I wasn't sure, because I thought it wouldn't be enough volume compared to some other stuff I usually have, but it hits those notes that I'm after, I guess. That's been a little bit helpful. The other thing is, I'm not prescribed any cardio right now, but I got to tell you, waking up, when I wake up and I only have like an hour before I need to go, doing cardio first thing in the morning is actually very centering, so that I'm not walking into the kitchen first thing in the morning and getting into that, you know, or so that I'm not just like idling. So I've been doing a little bit of cardio, like 20 minutes in the morning when I'm home, but I'm not home like that. It's been all over the place, everybody. In any case, morning cardio is working well for my mental health and my grounding. Not talking to anybody until I've done some things, meaning I've gotten to work and had a productive day at work, or just not talking to anybody in the morning. That's an old classic for me. I can't. I need to be present, you know? So getting pulled away is not good. I'm entertaining doing evening cardio, but that requires me to spend the night at home And this last week has not been a lot of that. It's been late nights and just a lot. So, but if I could do my PM cardio, that would be awesome. Just to, again, get out of the fucking kitchen, get away from food, whatever food I have already digest, and just get centered in my world, in my head, you know, versus being pulled away and distracted and whatever. So cardio actually does have a place for me, which is interesting. I guess I could talk about my training. That's another thing. So y'all, anybody who follows me on Instagram for any length of time knows that I love training. Training was the gateway drug to bodybuilding. And my head's just not in the game. Also, I'm deconditioned as fuck. During peak week, we cut out all resistance training and just did cardio because I needed to strip the fat. So that's a week that I wasn't training at all, no resistance training. And then post-show, the traveling and all of that, and not having a new program because I certainly couldn't jump into my old program. So I kind of trained for pleasure for like 3 days and overdid it and was like super sore. Also, you know, obviously weak. So I got a new program from my coach. It's a 4-day split with like descending reps and stuff, and then an accessory day of straight sets. It's a nice program. It's a nice fit, and it does feel like a good pace post-show. But like, it's just my heart is not in training, and that sucks because this is another anchor of mine. So it's a really weird place to be in right now, where it's like, I don't want to YouTube. I don't want to hang out. I don't feel safe or secure in what's going on in my head or in my body or any of that. I want to train, but I can't even nothing is clicking. Training doesn't feel like the greatest thing. Food doesn't feel secure. Sleep doesn't feel secure. I'm not even spending the night at home like I would normally. Like, I have no routine, no foundation. So I'm just in a fucking limbo, everybody. But we're gonna get through it. I'm weak. I'm, you know, whatever. Fortunately, my form has been great. Like I'm really like not a zombie, but I'm kind of like a very hyper-focused mind-muscle connection person right now when I am training. But I don't feel satisfied or gratified by training at all. And that really is a shame, but you know, just going to move through it. Hoping for some stability here soon so that I can feel grounded in something. But for the most part, holidays mean getting pulled away. And I shouldn't frame it like that, because people and friends and family are what it's all about. But right now, when I'm not well, it all feels like daunting and not warm and fuzzy, you know, just like, yeah. So yeah, binging, not good. And gonna sort it out. I found it interesting that, you know, with work and seeing people again, everybody's holidays, food and all that. And I found the fastest way for me to get people to leave me the fuck alone about food was to say, hey, I'm kind of recovering from an eating disorder right now. If you could just, or I didn't say if you could just, but I've literally said that. I said, I'm kind of recovering from an eating disorder. It's the most succinct way to get people to like just stop trying to do anything related to food. And that's new for me. And I will say this, somebody said to me, they were like, because they know my bodybuilding, they're like, oh, well, I'm glad you see that. They thought I was referring to bodybuilding instead of like the post-show rebound. God. And I found that so interesting and a little bit upsetting, because, not trying to be defensive here, however, I fucking love bodybuilding. And Alberto Nunez said it well. What is the net good? Is it a net good or not? To me, bodybuilding is a net good. Of course, there's costs, right? But the costs are such that I don't really see them as costs, you know? And this is just a weird phase. It's almost like if you're gonna have a kid, and it's like the labor and delivery was fucking awful, but at the end, and the recovery is going to be freaking something else, you know? But was it a net good in your life, right? Would you do it differently? And that's how I feel about bodybuilding. Like, I freaking love this shit. And I love being in gear, and I love having structure to my life. And while competing may not be in the cards, I still see it as a part of my life forever, you know? Eating with intention for months at a time, having performance goals, having some physique goals as well, but just more flexibility with my nutrition. And in order to get there, I have to move through this recovery phase. I need to get to a place where I'm not compulsive with my eating behaviors. That is something that can be done. So to write off an entire lifestyle or a hobby, for lack of a better way, or sport, because of the recovery phase, I took offense to that, everybody. I took offense because, for real, man, this is my life. Like, I live like this, you know? And it really does align with my personality, my need to, my productivity is better when I have a plan, when I have a structure. I'm better to myself. I'm sharper. I'm better to others when I'm working in this kind of lifestyle, you know? So this is just a huge bump in the road, but I wouldn't say that it's disqualifying of bodybuilding, y'all. Eyes wide open. And also, I think the extenuating circumstances of losing my effing job have also contributed, and interpersonal stressors as far as, like, right. So it's just stress and inordinate stress, and losing my job, I think, contribute more to this being a rough patch for my recovery diet, or my recovery phase. Okay, so what are we gonna do next time? What are we gonna do differently? The only thing I can think of right now, the only stressor I could have gotten ahead on, is I traveling was just too expensive, too stressful, and added further dysregulation. Even though I developed some skills for how to do it, which I'm pretty proud of, as far as like packing and stuff. Even though all that's the case, I don't want to do that again next year, or I'm going to try to avoid that as long as possible, because being away from home and all of that is a lot. So next year, staying at home, doing like a local circuit, if at all. I really only have one show planned, but doing a local circuit will be one strategy moving forward. I have to have a really good reason and a really good physique to do otherwise. Like, it's just not worth it. So that's one thing I'm going to try to do. And then, I don't know, y'all. Keep working with coach, figure it out. The only other thing I can think of is just like now with a new schedule altogether, just really trying to protect my mornings for myself. It's just too distressing for me to compromise or negotiate my mornings or my things, my tasks, for any other variable. So I'm going to see if I can negotiate coming into work a little later. I may want to say, hey, I don't want to go to other campuses. It's just too much. I hate to do that because, again, if I'm needed and I can be useful and I'm not even full-time, like, do the thing. But I'll figure all that out. But I just need to protect my mornings. Anyway, that's all I can think of at this point, everybody. I will be back in touch with some updates here, maybe every other week. I'm not sure. But enjoy the holidays. Those of you who are thinking of me and worrying about me, thank you for thinking of me. That energy comes through, you know. It must have, to pull me into vlogging again, you know. I think I'll be okay. I just need more me time. Even today, I don't have a day off. I haven't had a day off, y'all. Like, since post, whatever. The point is, I'll be all right, y'all. I just need more time to myself. And we'll see how things go. Take care, everybody. Don't shy away from taking space when you need it. Usually that's where the work happens. So